Hey there, Planet Poke people, it's me, deogenz, wishing you a Happy New Year! And in this new year, why don't we just kick a classic for old time's sakes and revisit one of my personal favorites, Charizard. Probably one of the most iconic Pokemon next to Pikachu. I would say if nobody knew from the anime series or the cartoons that were showing at the time, during Pokemon's release, they certainly saw Charizard's image posted everywhere, from the cards to the Pokemon Red game. It really epitomized the awesomeness of training these creatures, the epitome of evolution. And speaking of the epitome of evolution, this particular poke in the 6th gen gets not one but 2 Mega Evolutions, which we will get to, but let's first look at what it starts out with. With the Solar Salamander set, what does Solar Power do? Well, it's kind of a win and it's kind of a loss. It's sort of like Life Orb that you can't remove because it's your ability. However, you can dodge the ability if you don't want to utilize it. However, that's part of powering up this set. And what it does is raise your special attack every turn by 50%, however at the cost of taking some health. So it's sort of like a Life Orb, and if you attach a double Life Orb to this, you could start to lose health on this set very quickly. That's why I would recommend including Roost on this if you have the option to do so. Of course, mind its weaknesses. Thankfully, in this form, one of the things that it gets to reap the benefits of is the immunity to ground. So you could get a free switch into ground, perhaps retract your Charizard when it is losing health, and throw it back on there when you predict Earthquake or some other ground type move to dodge that and re-heal. You're going to want to max out special attack and speed, because since Solar Power is only lending aid to your special attacking set, it's not going to help with any sort of offense. But don't worry, for all those physically offensive people, I've got a favorable set for you. So the moves you want to focus on for that after you max out special attack and speed is Fire Blast. However, do be aware of its lower accuracy. If you want something more dependable that will strike every time, you should rely on Flamethrower. And do note, I don't think I mentioned this, but I thought it was sort of obvious, that it's Solar Power. The only way it will activate is if the sun is out, so this Charizard needs to be a part of a sunny day team, which is why I suggest including Solar Beam, because you will be able to reflect back Rock and Water, 2 of its main weaknesses that can trip it up. And you could also include Focus Blast, a powerful 120 but also slightly inaccurate special attacking move that will get a awesome boost from that Solar Power so long as the sun remains on the field. And that is what you can do with the base Charizard. Now, it's time to move on to some Mega Evolutions. And oh yes, I didn't mention it, but just skipped over, but it's there, Air Slash, because of course you need another stab on the poke and its special attack, and yeah, you get the point. Moving on to set number 2, which is the Drought Dreadnought. And the reason that you will dread this poke, its Mega Evolution that you can only access in Pokemon Y, or trade a Charizardite Y for some other item, if you so choose. You could also get both the games. I know some people to do that, including myself. Well, there was a time I did that, but now with college I don't have the time to play 2 games. It's a shame, but I would be happy to trade with people. Anyway, Charizardite Y, what it does to this already powerful poke is boosts its special attack naturally to 159. A walloping 159. That's not all. Also boosts its special defense and physical attack slightly, which is okay. I mean, it's not going to play any sort of role in this set, but it also does that as well. Basically gains 100 more effort values across these 3 stats. And it also gets a better ability. Doesn't change type. And that's right, if you didn't know, some Mega Evolutions will actually change the type of the poke that holds onto the item, but this is not one of them. It keeps its typing, it remains Fire Flying, which is good, you want that immunity to ground, and it gives you Drought. What Drought does is sort of like when you send Groudon on the field, if you remember back in the Ruby and Sapphire days, instantly turns Sunshine to full blaze. And what does that do? But power up your fire moves. And it also lets you launch the beam cannon. And by beam cannon I of course mean solar beam on your own. So without needing any sort of sunny day team, this Charizard can be a special sweeper in no time. Now, before the 6th gen, Charizard was classified as NU. Now that we have these two new Mega Evolutions to play around with, I certainly wonder if it will at least bump it up into UU play. I would imagine so, just on the basis that these Mega Evolutions look badass and everybody wants to see them. So I'm sure people are going to be experimenting with a lot of different movesets. Try some of the additional moves here. Again, Roost will work well, but since you don't have that diminishing health anymore, and of course you cannot include any other item but the Charizardite Y, sort of the caveat to using Mega Evolutions, you don't have any sort of Life Orb or choice items. And I would love to see some damage calculations on the past set. Could it actually reach a special attacking power of Charizard, of Mega Charizard Y? Is it possible, and how many turns would it take? For all you good with math, I'm counting on you in the comments! Now to move on to the physically offensive set. Finally, the variation we all knew should have been there has come. Fire Dragon typing Charizard. Boo fucking yeah. Only accessible with Charizardite X, and again, no holding items. However, you do have access to a different ability, Tough Claws, which instead of making the sun appear and powering up fire moves and giving you access to the solar beam like you had in the last set, it will power up your physical moves by 30%. Not quite as big a boost as solar power, however, it doesn't detract from any of your other stats, doesn't take away health, doesn't do any of that sort of thing. And also, I want you to note that Charizard X is having a little bit more of a modest boost in attack. Yes, it does get boosted, but I want you to note that both physical and special are 130, which doesn't make sense to me when we just saw Charizard Y, which had a significantly higher special attack than physical. So, I'm not too certain, but either way, this is how you should play with it. Since it does turn Dragon, you'll want to take advantage of that new stab. Include Dragon Claw or breed it to have an Outrage. Just know you won't be able to fix its confusion unless you switch it out. Then for the fire move, it's a little tricky. Fire Fang is the best move that won't be damaging Charizard. However, if you want to go for pure power, Flare Blitz is obviously your move. A 120 physical attacking damaging move. It is fierce. It is worse than Fire Fang. And Earthquake is a great thing to throw off the electric types that, oh well, what do you know, don't even bother you anymore. Do take note, when you change into these Mega Evolution forms, the abilities change, the types can change. I mean, for example, Gengar, if we ever do a revisitation on that, which is probably unlikely, that loses its levitation in the Mega form. Yeah, you have to check that out because then it exposes it to a large weakness. So these Mega Evolutions are balanced in ways, you know, it's very interesting to see how they're going to play in metagame into the future. And as far as other physical attacking moves it can learn, it's got a very diverse move pool, so I will leave that to you to choose what's best suited for the lacking in your team. Let me know below which version of Charizard you like the best. Do you think there should be a Charizard Z version? Let me know below. I personally love these Mega Evolutions. I think that Z version should introduce all new lands, no new Pokemon, a ton of new Mega Evolutions, and let's see what goes from there. I've been deogenz, reminding you to subscribe to Planet Poke, and I will see you next week. Hello everyone, welcome to my Heart Gold Soul Silver EV training guide. This is the introduction in which we will discuss what the heck is effort value training anyway. Well, here's a great comparison to make you realize the importance of these things, these hidden stats that Nintendo will not let you know about. Have you ever versed a friend